Oh, hey, Smokey. It's time for Stamp versus Stamp again, isn't it? It's February 2025. It's been a bit cold here. I know it's been cold and snowy for you in Wisconsin as well. And what I'm trying to do is tackle a few things inside. That gave me an idea. I should go through some of these books and see what I need, but I found this one. This one's from 1933, 34. And you know what it is? It's an old yearbook. I think it's probably one of my in-laws. Maybe that's what it... No, it's like stories that are... What's this? It's a list of things. It gives me an idea. You want to have a scavenger hunt? I got this list here, and I was thinking maybe you could find the things on this list, and if you could find a stamp related to it, show us about it. And if that item that it's on the list, you could just tell me a story about it. I'd really appreciate it. I really like your stories. You know what? Make up the stories. There's 10 things on this list I see, and I think what I want you to do is tell me 9 lies. Let me try to figure out what that 10th story is that's the true one. Sound like a good idea? Let's put that back. Let's give you 10 items to find, and then you can be off on your scavenger hunt inside your house where it's warm. The first thing I want you to find is a flashlight. The second thing I want you to find is a hammer. The third thing, a history book. The fourth, a funny hat. Do you happen to have any DVDs or VHS tapes? Some good old movies that way. A mirror, a handheld mirror. A suitcase. A map. A pair of shoes. And finally, let me see what you have for art. What kind of stories and stamps do you think you'll find?
Well, hey, how are you doing? Welcome to Snail Mail with Smokey. I'm Smokey, and as you can tell, this is Stamp versus Stamp, and it's a scavenger hunt. So Rob has given me a list of 10 items. I've went through my house, went down to the basement, into the closets, picked out 10 items, also some stamps that correlate to those items. So in just a minute, I'm going to show you each item and a stamp that goes along with it. And there'll be a story or two along the way. Stick around. Well, for the first item I had to pick, Rob tasked me with finding a flashlight. So, unfortunately, I can't show you the flashlight I picked because I'm using it to record this video. That's right, the flashlight that I picked, which honestly is the only flashlight I have in my house, is on my cell phone. And I use my cell phone to record my videos. And but I do have an interesting story about my cell phone and this flashlight. This is a fairly new phone. I got this phone a little over a year ago, and it's a different kind of phone to what I had before. So when I got it, to be honest, after 1 or 2 days of using it, I either wanted to throw it outside and run over it with my car, or take it back and get my old phone back because I was having so much trouble using my phone. The apps were different, the layout was different. The buttons were more sensitive. Well, they're not actually buttons, are they? But it was more sensitive than the phone I was used to, and I was extremely frustrated. So I got this phone on a Friday, and then Sunday morning I went to church and had to lead Bible study and had to preach. So I usually carry my phone in my front pocket of either my jacket or my shirt, and it was no difference on this particular Sunday. So I'm trying to get the volume off of my phone. So I get up to preach, and I preach my entire sermon. And after I get done, which was about 45 minutes, long. After I get done preaching, and when church is over, one of the members comes up to me and he says, "Hey, listen," he says, "Pastor, you were glowing this morning." And I said, "Well, okay, thank you." I guess I thought he thought the sermon was really good and inspired. I'm like, "Oh, well, thank you. That's very kind of you." He's like, "No, you were actually glowing from your chest." I'm like, "What do you mean, man?" He goes, "Look down." I look down, and instead of turning the volume off of my phone, I turned the flashlight on. And it was on all during service, shining for everyone to see. And I was a bit embarrassed. I fumbled around, finally got the flashlight turned off. But also curious, why didn't anyone tell me it was on for the whole sermon? I don't know. But I haven't made that mistake since, and now I've got the phone figured out, and I love it. So, speaking of flashlights, let's talk about postage stamps. This is the stamp that I chose. It's from the United States of America. It is Scott number 319-0, issued on May 2nd, 2000. It has a face value of 33 cents. And it is a Celebrate the Century issue. I love this whole issue of U.S. stamps that celebrate the 1900s. Just a great series of stamps. And this particular stamp features a cell phone, albeit an antiquated cell phone, but a cell phone nonetheless, minus some of the bells and whistles that we have now. But this is a stamp that I picked out for flashlight, because when I need a flashlight, whether I'm trying to find something in the dark, or I guess make my sermon a little more enlightening, I reach for my phone. The second item on the list is a hammer. So I own several hammers. I don't really know where they come from, but as I was looking for hammers, I'm like, I've got more hammers than I know. But I picked this hammer. Yes, you're seeing correct. It is a tiny, tiny hammer, and there's a reason for this. When my wife and I first got married, like most couples just starting out, we didn't have a lot. We didn't have a lot in the way of material things, and we didn't have a lot in the way of finances. And I found myself one day needing a hammer. And so I said, "Honey, I really, really need a hammer. I want to hang some pictures." I think I was building a bookshelf, and she's like, "Well, we'll buy you a hammer." I'm like, "Okay, great." So the next day, she comes home from work with this hammer. And I said, "What is that?" She goes, "I bought you a hammer." I'm like, "But it's tiny. I'm a full-grown man. I need a man hammer." And she said, "Well," she said, "I went to the store. This was the only hammer they had. And besides, it was really affordable, and we're on a budget. Will this do?" And I said, "Yeah, it'll work just fine." And I built the shelf that I need to build. And although I have larger hammers now, I've kept this one around for 20 plus years now. And I'm glad I did. And I'm glad she bought it for me. When when I thought of this hammer, I also thought of this stamp. This stamp was issued by Hong Kong. It is a series entitled Toys of Hong Kong from the 1940s to the 1960s. It's Scott number 1777, issued on July 8th, 2016. It is 1.7 Hong Kong dollars, and it features a toy hammer. I picked this stamp because, one, I think the stamp is great, and it has a toy hammer. And some people might think my little hammer here is also a toy. It's not. It'll get the job done, just a miniature version. Well, let's move to item number 3. Rob tasks me with finding a history book. Now, I love history. That's something that Rob and I have in common. We both share a love of history, whether it's world history or history of our particular countries that we live in. We both love history. So when I was going through my bookshelf, I was trying to find a history book that I really enjoyed. And then I could tell a story about something that meant something to me. So this is the history book that I chose. It's called The Story of Luther. Now, what this is a book, and it is the history of Martin Luther, who is famous for the Reformation. It tells about his life. It talks about his history, about the history of the Reformation. It has some of the writings that he had written, even some of the songs that he had written during his lifetime. As you can see, it's an older book, and it was an older book when I received it. When I was in seminary, I had a professor there in my Old Testament history class, and he and I became friends. And one day I was asking him a question about one of my assignments, and he said, "I think I can answer that." And so he had a really large wall. It was a whole wall full of books. And he went and he picked this book out, and he said, "Here, this will answer your question. Read this book." And I thanked him. I said, "Thank you very much. I'll get this back to you as soon as possible." He said, No, it's my gift to you. I think you're really going to enjoy it." And so I did. I read it. It's not a big read. You can read it pretty quickly, but it's a very interesting book, and one that means something to me because it reminds me of my days back in seminary. And it was a great gift and one that I've kept around. So what stamp goes with that particular book? Well, it's got to be this stamp here. This is from Germany, the Federal Republic. It's got number 1406, and it was issued on October 13th, 1983, for the 500th anniversary of the birth of Martin Luther. Martin Luther lived from 1483 to 1586, and so this stamp is in commemoration of Martin Luther and celebrates his life and his work, just like this history book does. So that's why I picked that particular stamp. Well, number 4 on the list of scavenger items is a funny hat. Well, now, I wear a lot of hats. Physically wear a lot of hats. I love to wear a ball cap. I wear one each and every day of my life. I don't usually wear one on camera. I don't wear one in church, obviously. But if I'm out somewhere, I'm wearing a ball cap. But I don't have a lot of funny hats. But I came across this one. Now, does this classify as a hat? Maybe, maybe not. If you ask me, it goes on your head, so it's a hat. And I hope you'll give me grace with that. So how did I come across this lovely 2025 sparkly green headpiece? Well, let me tell you. Every year, my wife and I host a New Year's Eve party for some friends of ours, some people from our church. We come over, we have hors d'oeuvres, we have some drinks, and we play games. We have a really good time. And so this year we had a bunch of people over, and we were playing games. And one of the ladies who came over, she couldn't see one of the question cards on the game. So she said, "Does anybody have any reading glasses I can borrow?" Well, I have a pair of reading glasses in just about every room of my home. Sometimes I have more than one pair because I don't ever know where they're at. I can't ever find them. So I had a pair pretty close to where she was sitting. And so I said, "Hey, there's a pair over there. Go ahead and use them. And then when you're done, just put them back where you found them." And she said, "Okay, thank you." And the evening went on. So everybody left, and it was late. And my wife and I went to bed. We got up the next morning, and we're finishing to clean up from the night before. And I go to where my reading glasses are supposed to be sitting in our living room, and they're not there. But where they usually are is this. And so I figure I don't have reading glasses in that room anymore, but I got this. So I guess she felt like trading me. I don't know. I haven't asked her, and I don't know if I will, because I'm going to keep this. So What kind of stamp goes with this funny hat? Well, a funny hat stamp, of course. This one's from Hungary. It's from a New Year's series of stamps. It's got number 1559, issued on December 12, 1963. And it celebrates the New Year, not 2025, but the New Year, which was going to be 1964. It's a fun and whimsical stamp, and to go with a fun and whimsical hat. What do you think? Now to number 5, into something that I was really surprised about. I have learned that there are not too many people who have VHS tapes anymore, and I don't know that we own any VHS tapes. Well, I do own a couple VHS tapes. That doesn't surprise me. What surprises me is the amount of people I know that do not own DVDs or Blu-rays. I do own DVDs and Blu-rays. Matter of fact, a pretty large collection of DVDs and Blu-rays because we like to watch movies in my house. And we stream enough stuff. But occasionally we'll go to the DVD closet, as we call it, and pull out a DVD to watch. And so I had a lot to choose from with this particular part of the scavenger hunt. But I landed on this. It's not one DVD. It is 5 DVDs. And it is Star Trek The Next Generation Motion Picture Collection. It has all of the Next Gen movies, beginning with Genesis and going all the way to Star Trek Nemesis. So First Contact is also in here. These are great movies. I'm a huge Trekkie. I really love anything sci-fi, but I love Star Trek. I like the original Star Trek. I like The Next Generation. I liked Star Trek Enterprise. I thought that was a great show. I was sorry to see that end. I can picture myself on the bridge of the Enterprise. My favorite captain is Jean-Luc Picard, played by Sir Patrick Stewart, who is a remarkable actor, so talented. And so the reason I picked this is because I had wanted this particular set for a really long time. But when it came out, it was pretty pricey. Maybe $60, I think, somewhere around there, $55, $60. And so pretty pricey for this box set. What happened was, every year in our town, we have a town-wide yard sale. And it's 2 days. It's a Thursday and a Friday, about the middle of May every year, a Thursday and a Friday. And most people in town have a yard sale, and people come from all the towns around, and for 2 days, traffic is bumper to bumper through town because people are shopping yard sales like crazy. And my wife and I also do that. And so about 5 or 6 years ago, we were at a yard sale, and they had a box of DVDs, which I always go through DVDs when I'm at a yard sale or a thrift store. And in the box of DVDs was this set of DVDs, and it was marked $10. And I scooped it up faster than you can imagine. Went to the lady who was having the yard sale, handed her my $10 bill, brought home my movies, immediately had a Star Trek marathon, and I have not looked back since. Because what a find and what a steal. And I don't know if just she had watched them and didn't like them, or maybe she wasn't a Star Trek fan. I don't know. I didn't ask. I bought them and brought them home. And if you've got a Star Trek DVD, then you have got to have a Star Trek stamp to go with it. I picked this stamp. Rob, you'll know this stamp. It's from Canada. This stamp is Scott number 2983E. It is the 50th anniversary of Star Trek Year 2 celebration. It has a face value of $2.50 Canadian and features my favorite captain of the USS Enterprise, Jean-Luc Picard. It also has his alter ego, if you will, Locutus Borg. If you remember from the original series, Picard was kidnapped by the Borg and assimilated into the Borg. It was a great storyline. I enjoyed every minute of it. And so there was Locutus Borg side by side with Captain Jean-Luc Picard. And this is a really great stamp and one of my favorite issues of stamps bar none, because I love Star Trek and sci-fi that much. So that's why I chose this stamp and those DVDs. Next on the list is a handheld mirror. Now, I'm a guy that doesn't spend a lot of time in front of a mirror. But I got a handheld mirror, and this is it. This is, look, it's not much. It's just gray. It's two-sided. It's been around for quite a while, and it has a little place in my heart. Now, if you're like, how can a mirror have a little place in your heart? Ooh, let me put that down. It's making me glow, and not like the flashlight. Let me tell you the story about this mirror. When I was growing up, for the first 9 years of my life, we lived very close to my mother's mom. My grandpa passed away when I was young, and so my grandma lived by herself. And my grandma, one of her many talents was she cut hair. And so, especially during the summer, I would walk from my house to my grandma's house, was not very far at all. And my grandma would cut my hair on her front porch. She had an old wicker kind of chair with a wicker seat and back, and it's set up high. I would sit on that chair. She would take a towel, it was a beach towel, with a clothespin, put it around my neck, and she would cut my hair. And after she was done cutting my hair, she would always say, "Smoke, how's it look?" And she would hold up the mirror, and I was able to look in it and go, "Mama," which is what I call my grandma, was Mama. "Mama looks great. Thank you very much." And she'd say, "You're welcome, son." And then we would go in and we'd have a glass of tea and have a conversation. And she did this about every 3 weeks or so, maybe every month. I'd go get a haircut, and I'd get to see the results in the mirror. And so, because it means a lot to me, because it reminds me of my grandma, who's with the Lord now, I picked out that mirror, and I picked out this stamp. And this stamp is from the U.S. It's got number 5494, and it is the 80th anniversary of Bugs Bunny. I picked this stamp out for a couple reasons. Number one, I love Bugs Bunny. Love the Looney Tunes. Love cartoons. Even as a grown man, I still love cartoons. But also, it features Bugs Bunny as a barber. You see Bugs there dressed in his barber outfit, and behind him on the wall is a large mirror. I know it's not a handheld mirror, but it's a mirror nonetheless. This stamp issued on July 27th, 2020. And it's fun and whimsical, kind of like my grandma was. And it reminds me of her and the days that we had where she would cut my hair, and we'd share a pitcher of tea together and just have good conversation. And I miss her every day. And so when Rob said handheld mirror, I was like, it's got to be the one Mama used. That's what it has to be. Well, on to a more lighthearted item and story. And number 7 is Suitcase. Oh, this is the Suitcase. And it's an American Tourister. It's olive green. It's got the label there. It's got wheels on it. It's got a little handheld thing, and it wheels around. And it's a handy little suitcase. But it has quite a story. Not how we bought it or anything. My wife and I bought this suitcase a few years after we were married. But the story that goes with it, well, it's funny now, but it wasn't funny then. We went to California. My wife is from California, and so we went on a trip out there, and this is the suitcase that we took. So we drove out to California, and we stopped in New Mexico to spend the night. And so we stopped in New Mexico. We stopped at a hotel. We spent the night. We took all the luggage in. We had our daughters with us. The next morning, we wanted to leave real early in the morning because we wanted to get to California pretty early in the day. So we left really early in the morning, like 5 o'clock in the morning. And we were up till like 10 or 11, so we didn't get much sleep. We're tired. And we get all of our luggage together. We pack the car. And we get down the road, and we get about 2.5 hours down the road, and we stopped for gas to get a snack, you know, the kind of things you do on a road trip. And my wife said, "Oh, I need something out of our bag," and I said, "Okay." And we opened the back of the car, and the suitcase wasn't there. And my wife goes, "Where's the suitcase?" I said, "I don't know. You put it in the car." She goes, "No, you put it in the car." I said, "No, you put it in the car. You said I've got the green suitcase." She goes, "No, you said you had it." And at that minute, it hit me. She was right. I did have the suitcase. The only problem was I had the suitcase in my hand. She said, "Did you get the suitcase?" I said, "Yes." The girls had their bags. She had our other bags. And I said, "I'm just going to check the bathroom because I think I left some stuff in there." I went to check the bathroom. I didn't leave anything in there. I walked out the door because everyone else was already out of the room. I shut the door. We went down to the lobby. I turned my key in. We got in the car and we drove away. And this bag sitting on the bed in our hotel room. So now we've got a dilemma. Do we turn around and go 2.5 hours back hoping our bag is still there? No. I immediately called the hotel. They were so super nice. I explained the situation, that I had left a bag in the room. They had already been in to clean the room. They had found the bag. They had it at the front desk area. And I said, "Look, we're going to be back in about 5 or 6 days. We're going to be driving back. Can I stop and pick the bag up then?" And they said yes. They were more than happy to hold it for me. And so they did. We went to California. Thankfully, there was nothing in the bag that we couldn't replace easily and inexpensively. And so we were able to go to California to have a great vacation. But on the way back, stopped at the same hotel in New Mexico, and there was our bag. We had been on vacation. It just had a spa week. I don't know who had the better trip, but I'm thankful that it ended up well and that our bag was there and our belongings were still in the bag. No one had to touch them. So what stamp goes with this well-traveled suitcase? This stamp here. It's from Montenegro. It's from a series called Tourism, which was issued in 2012. Matter of fact, on May 14th, 2012. And this suitcase is made of various patterns. This stamp is blue. There's another one in the series that's red. But since I really like blue, I picked this one out. It's got number 309. And I love this. There's a lot of stamps that have suitcases or bags or have to do with travel. But I picked this one out because it's whimsical, because the suitcase is a standard suitcase shape, but it has these different patterns inside of the suitcase. And it's just a really, really nice stamp. So I hope you enjoy it as well. Well, we're getting down to it. Number 8 for this scavenger hunt inside. Rob said, find a map. So I have a few maps. Most of us use Google Maps, or we use some sort of app when we're traveling. I don't know that any of us use a paper map anymore that once you unfold it, you can never fold it again. You have to be some origami expert to get it back together. But I like maps. And you know what I really like maps for? I like them for decoration. And so this is a map, and it's just for decorative purposes. And it sits on a bookshelf that I have over here. And but it's an interesting story about this map. At birthdays and Christmases, my family gets real inventive. I guess I get inventive too. And we try a lot of times to do really cool wrapping paper. Matter of fact, if you go in my basement right now, there's about 25, 30 rolls of wrapping paper, and it's nobody's fault for mine, but mine. I'm addicted to wrapping paper. I love the stuff. At Christmas time, I'm just buying wrapping paper like crazy. I like to make sure each gift's in a different kind of paper. It's a whole weird thing with me. Don't judge me. So one day, my birthday, my daughter gave me a present, and it was wrapped in this paper. Believe it or not, this is wrapping paper that my present was wrapped in. And I said, wow, that's a really cool looking map. You could frame that. And my wife goes, well, let's do it. So I unwrapped the gift pretty carefully, maybe the first time I've ever unwrapped a gift carefully. And my wife was so good, she cut out a section of this wrapping paper, put it in this frame, and now it sits over here on my bookshelf. So didn't cost us a thing, but it's a nice decorative item, and it's a map, which I love. And I hope you like it too. And just a pro tip, home decor doesn't need to cost a lot. It can, but it doesn't always have to. So what did I pick for this map? I picked this stamp here. This is also from the U.S. It is Scott number 2747, issued on February 12th, 1993, has a face value of 29 U.S. cents, and it's a map of the Oregon Trail. Here's why I picked this stamp. Number one, it's a stamp. It's got a map on it. Oklahoma is kind of right there on the map if you look down in the bottom. It's a great looking stamp, but I like it because it features the Oregon Trail. The Oregon Trail, a lot of people started in Missouri and St. Louis, and they travel this trail in wagons and wagon trains and coaches and horseback, and going out west in hopes for a new life, to settle a home or a farmstead. And so it proves the pioneering spirit that people have as we travel the land, and but also because there's a video game called Oregon Trail that I grew up playing. And you are, if you're familiar with the game, you're in a party of people, and you're trying to get to Oregon. You have to hunt, you have to fish, you have to trade with people for goods. You can be snake bit, you can get diseases, you can. There's all kinds of stuff that can befall you, and so I spent a lot of time as a kid playing this game, and then, boom, 2025. They re-released this game, I think either last year or the year before, but I've had it for about 6 months. I've played it, and I love it. And so that's why I picked this stamp featuring a map of the Oregon Trail. Number 9 on the list for this scavenger hunt was for me to find a pair of shoes. Now, I don't own many pairs of shoes. I don't really know exactly how many pairs of shoes I own. A few pairs of shoes, some boots, sandals. But up in my closet, I found this pair of shoes here. Now, you may be saying, well, those look like spiffy enough shoes. And they are. But they have a special meaning for me. And it goes back to my wife. I know I talk about my family a lot because they mean so much to me. This will be our 23rd year of marriage. So 23 years ago, when we got married, my wife bought a really lovely wedding dress. I rented a tuxedo, which was very nice. But I was kind of weird about renting shoes. I know you can do that. I did it in high school when I went to prom. I rented the patent leather shoes with the tuxedo, but I don't know. I kind of wanted my own shoes for my own wedding. So I went to a local shoe store and purchased this pair of dress shoes. They're really simple. They're black. They need a good polish, but I don't wear them very often because these are the shoes that I wore in my wedding almost 23 years ago. Not really an exciting story. Just went to the shoe store, picked out a pair of dress shoes that I liked, bought them, took them home, and wore them to the wedding. But they mean something to me because they're what I wore to our wedding. And I don't see myself ever getting rid of them because they remind me of that day. And it was a great day, one of the best days of my life. And so those are my wedding shoes. So what kind of stamp did I pick out to go along with these special shoes? Well, I picked out this stamp here. This is from Croatia. It's Scott number 881, issued on September 4th, 2013, and has a face value of 3.10 Croatian kuna. And it's of the Little Shoemaker. I love this stamp. It's vibrant, it's bright, it's got that cartoony, illustrated kind of feel that I really love when it comes to postage stamps or artwork or anything for that matter. And here's a little guy making shoes. He's got shoes that are already made and displayed, ready for people to come in and buy, or maybe they're special order, or maybe someone's going to come buy a pair of these for their wedding. That might be what's happening to this stamp. Well, we've reached the end. And now it's time for the 10th and final item in this stamp versus stamp indoor scavenger hunt. And Rob has tasked me with showing you art from my house. Well, I got to admit, I'm not, and my wife and I are not art collectors. We're not art enthusiasts. We're not even art buyers. I talk a lot about my stamp collection is a miniature museum. They're miniature works of art, and that's about as far as I go in the art world. But we do have things that hang on our walls, a lot of photographs of our family and friends, and we do have a few pieces of art, but I was trying to find something that had a story. And so I was scouring our walls, and this is what I come up with. This is an octopus. He's an educated octopus, you know, because he's got glasses on. That's what they're called. Boy, I really blinked for a minute. But this has kind of a humorous story. At least it has a story. It wasn't something that we just went to the store and thought, oh boy, I really like an octopus and reading glasses. Let's bring him home. So every year, we do a white elephant gift exchange. I don't know if you guys do those or not. If you don't, what it is you bring a gift, and it's usually something that's a little comical, not really a practical gift, not something that you would go out and buy yourself, definitely, but something that's a little comical, a little whimsical, and everybody wraps a gift up, and you draw numbers, and whoever gets number one gets to pick the first gift. And then whoever's second can either pick the gift that's been unwrapped or can choose a new gift. And this goes around however many people you have. We usually have 10 or 12 people in our family that do this. And you want to be the last person. Because if you're the last person, then you know what every gift is except for one. So you can steal any gift that someone else has already unwrapped, or you can take the one gift that hasn't been chosen. So last Christmas, well, 2 Christmases ago now, because it was Christmas 2023, we were playing our annual white elephant gift game. And this is what I got. And it's funny. It's funny because my brother-in-law brought this. He thought it would be hilarious. And you know what? It is. It's funny. But you know what? It hangs on our wall in the hallway. And so I see this octopus. I see it every day of my life in our house, hanging on the wall in our hallway. You know what? I've really grown to love it. And I think my wife has kind of grown to like it too, or at least I like to believe that she has. So there's a piece of art. There's the story behind it. And so, boy, can I find a stamp to match? Well, no, but I found this stamp, which is real art. This is from the country of Aruba. It's got number 366C. It's a series that was released in 2011 for Vincent van Gogh. And this stamp features my all-time favorite work of art. I know it's hard to believe it's not the octopus with the reading glasses. It's actually this artwork depicted on this stamp, and it is Van Gogh's very famous, very lovely Starry Night. And so any stamp that has an image of a Van Gogh painting, I'm a fan of instantly because I love his artwork so much. It means a lot to me. And just his life and his story. He had his battles, but I think he waged a lot of those battles with paint and canvas. And to me, as an observer, it really shows up in his artwork. And what a very gifted and talented man. And I really appreciate his contribution to the world. And so that's why I've chosen this stamp. So, 10 stamps, 10 items, 10 stories. Which one is true? I don't know. Okay, I know. I know which one's true. But do you know which one's true? Well, I'm not going to tell you. I'm not going to tell you in this video. You're going to have to watch Rob's video. That's right. Go to That Dad Guy's video. Watch all of his video. Then I will tell you on his video which one of the stories are true. Well, if you've watched all of Rob's video and you've tuned into mine and you want to know which one of the stories that Rob told you was true, now's the time. All right, Rob, tell us which story was true.
So did you guess right? Did you figure out what truth I was telling you throughout my manic run through the house? Well, if you see where I'm sitting, it's because the Canadian Road book, or the Canadian Book of the Road from Reader's Digest, did sit on our coffee table growing up, and sat next to our great big atlas that we also had from Reader's Digest. And we often went through this book looking for things to do along the road, because we took lots of family road trips. We were a family of 6 when we traveled, at least in the early days, because I have 3 siblings. And so we filled up the station wagon and we went and explored. We stayed at a lot of bed and breakfasts and the place along the way. And books like this helped us, or helped my parents, try to find things to do that were interesting along the road. And so we spent a lot of time reading that book. So I'm glad that it's still here and I have the memories to go along with it. It's not on our coffee table, it's in our library, but it's fun to find. All right, you guys.
Well, did you guess right? I hope you did. And I hope you had fun watching this video. Don't forget to go watch That Dad Guy's video. Don't forget to give us both likes, big thumbs up. Also, leave us a comment. Rob, thanks again for collaborating on these stamp versus stamp videos. They're always a blast. Thank you all for watching. If you haven't done so yet, subscribe to my channel. Also, subscribe to That Dad Guy's channel. And until I see you again next time, have a great day. Bye-bye.